Welcome to Empowered to Grow, the podcast. I am your host, Hanan El-Basha. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Empowered to Grow in Business podcast. This is your host, Hanan El-Basha. As always, I'm very excited with every episode that I do because I can say that I bring amazing people, or at least people who are amazing to me. And I'm sure you're going to think the same. This time is the same. This time it's a very dear friend who, let's say we've known each other for, I think, nearly 20 years. I know he wouldn't want to put the duration on it. But what's beautiful is we reconnected again on a whole new level last year. And the growth that we both kind of parallelly did was amazing. And we were sharing a lot of thoughts. And I'm sure you're going to resonate a lot with his thoughts today. This is for you, every SME leader, every startup leader who believes that you could feel overwhelmed and you can't do it all. Faisal today is going to be talking to you about how to embrace for growth. So first, let's welcome Faisal. Hi, Faisal.
Hello. Wow, what a lovely introduction.
Well, I didn't speak about you professionally because I'm going to ask you to do that.
Don't, please.
Well, professionally, you are still acclaimed and you're still the expert and you are an
Wow.
investor and a startup founder yourself.
Wow.
And I think this is all very valid. But I think that the part and why I wanted to have this conversation with you today is about embracing. But before we come to the embrace part, let's talk about growth generally. And I think the misconception is when you are growing, you are only focusing on growing the business. You know, you're getting more customers, more revenues, more markets and stuff. But I think what we agree on is that your personal growth is actually the whole thing, the secret sauce, right?
Yeah.
Tell us a bit more about that.
All right. I think I want to take this opportunity to throw some ideas in there.
Yeah.
And let people figure them out and decide for themselves. This is not a how-to or a manual or something that you can follow. I just want to raise some questions and propose some ideas, and let's see. The first thing I'd like to propose is that any business, corporate, private, startups, any kind of business, is some people working with other people to deliver products or services to people.
True.
So almost 100% of the stakeholders are people.
Yeah.
So that statement, it's not personal, I really doubt that.
Hey, I did an episode on that.
Yeah.
Said it is personal.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, I'm 50 now, and I can safely claim that almost 95% of work is personal.
True.
And unless in the near future AIs and robots start talking to each other, if there are human beings involved, it's personal. It's only not personal when they're going to fire you or we're talking about the bonus.
Yes.
The end of year bonus. Then it becomes professional. But the entire year,
and
it's
actually
personal.
that's also personal. But let's get to
personal.
that.
Yeah. But if they want to give you lower bonus, if they want to give you a lower appraisal, then it's nothing personal. It's just professional. Absolutely not. I don't believe that anymore. I believe that it's just personal. So if it's really personal, then I think personal behaviors are governing the workspace, and they're governing our businesses, and they're governing corporates, no matter how big and gigantic they are. It's just personal. All right. So if we believe that everything is personal, then we will have to put in some of the elements or criteria that make us who we are.
True.
And I believe that the human race, mankind, has evolved to 2025 using two main criteria, which is adaptability and resilience.
That's true.
Eh, I'm sure there are so many other things,
Yeah.
so many other things. But the DNA that trickled to us over those hundreds of thousands of years has actually managed to trickle to us through adaptability and resilience.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk so much about resilience today, but I'm going to talk
Yeah.
about adaptability, which is embrace.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why it's called embrace, because I was
Yeah.
watching a video clip on one of those platforms, and there was a video clip for Messi, and
Okay.
he dribbled through a goalkeeper,
Yes.
and in the process the goalkeeper fell on his knees,
Yeah.
and then he realized that there's nothing he can do,
Yeah.
so he actually embraced Messi in the middle of the game.
Okay.
Like the lower half of him, yeah, he completely gave up. He faced a much superior force of nature,
Yeah.
so he just gave up. And I forwarded this video to my friends, and I said,
I didn't know the backstory of embrace, but it makes sense now. Like,
yeah.
yep, there's nothing I can do.
There's nothing I can do. It's Messi. I'm on my own, and he already passed. So I said
it's already a goal. So khalas, let me embrace.
And I told them, I think we actually should treat life like that. It's not only work. It's just we should treat life like that. If there's something that is clearly bigger than you, I think it's in our own interest and selfishly for our own well-being, is to embrace it. No matter what you think should be right and what is fair, and all these social constructs that have changed throughout the ages.
Yeah.
It's actually quite dynamic and quite fluid. So if you start thinking about things, and I will talk about that, you can actually embrace far more than you are right now. And the interesting part about this concept, which is adaptability or embrace, is it applies to everything. It applies to our kids, it applies to our jobs, it applies to our spouses, it applies to our friends, and definitely to our families, our bigger
yes.
that is one of the biggest things you need to embrace in life.
Well,
whether
I'm going to interrupt you here, because this is really important that we need to re-emphasize this part. First of all, the embrace is kind of the embodiment of the statement that we've been hearing for forever, which is, it is what it is. You know, there's nothing you can actually do about it. But that's the part that I want you to address as well. It's identifying what you can versus what you can't control. You're not saying embrace for being passive. I was like, alas, this is what it is. You're talking about embracing what you cannot control. And that's something that's very important for us to differentiate.
Yes. And I think it also takes some time and wisdom and experience and a lot of gray hair.
Yes,
you look absolutely stunning. Don't worry about it. Absolutely.
So do you, my friend.
I actually think I don't want to get into a tangent of control, because I genuinely don't believe that we have a lot of control in this world. Okay. If I how do I put it? You are the captain of a boat in the eye of a storm.
Yes.
Can you control the boat? Yes, but to which extent? Really?
Yeah. It's still
it's like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So you can't. Are you in control of the boat? Yes, but not really. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So but I don't want to get into that tangent, but there is a skill to start understanding what is that could be changed, what's actually changeable, and what is unchangeable. It's like whatever you do, it will not change. I think there is a skill to it, and if I would recommend one thing, is just seeing things from different perspectives.
Yeah.
I think one of our biggest challenges in life in general and in business is that
this is it.
I see it, I know it, My ethics tell me that. My values and principles tell me that. My experience tell me that. People are telling me that. I know it.
Yeah.
Good. That's very good. How about another
Yeah.
angle? I think that's something that I usually try this trick in my life, and it has worked miracles for me. Miracles for me, whether in business or in on a personal level. It's just a little bit.
That pivot, or that it's not necessarily a pivot. It's more of it's a change in perspective. It's like putting yourself in someone else's shoes, or looking at the market from a different perspective, or looking at the opportunity from a different layer, and that opens up whole new avenues for you.
Yes, and actually, it will open up things that never crossed your mind. So
That's true.
I'll give you a very, very simple example that we all face. Our colleagues. 100% of the world population are complaining about their colleagues, one way or another, one colleague
Yes.
or another.
Yeah.
All right. And if you are the boss, and if you are the owner of the company, or one of the big shareholders, or you're the CEO, or you have a lot of challenges with people.
Yes.
Especially in this part of the world where the professional framework does not apply.
Yeah.
So if you're going to always see your team or your colleagues from that perspective, from that framework, with these glasses, you will always be frustrated.
Yes.
Who is benefiting? Who is benefiting that if I have 10 people at work, and those 10 people at work come late to work every single time, every single day? Who is benefiting from the fingerprinting, from the Excel sheets, from the punishments? From who? No one is. It is actually detrimental to you and your psyche and your well-being, because you're very frustrated with the people who are late. I'm giving a very silly example just to illustrate the point. And it's very frustrating and difficult for the people.
Okay.
And you have consistently failed to get them to change their framework, to change their mindset, to change their understanding of punctuality, which is quite a Western concept to this part of the world. And so who is benefiting? It's a zero-sum game, and everyone is losing.
So how do you embrace that?
How about that we think together with a new modus operandi, with a new model to cater to this small team that we have?
Okay.
COVID forced us to do that.
That's true.
All of a sudden, we can work from home. We spent 40 years working at the office and punching cards and fingerprinting, and all of a sudden, it's okay. You can work from home. All of a sudden. We've spent years going on business trips. All of a sudden, you can do the same thing on Zoom. Why? The world forced you to do that.
Yes.
So if the world can force you to do that, and you actually did it, so how come you cannot force yourself to change your paradigm? You change your perspective on things. To embrace the actual culture, not the fictional one that you have in mind.
Yes.
We have a fictional understanding of what is good, what is correct.
Yeah.
What is correct? Is correct? Can it possibly be correct in India and in Egypt and in Germany and in the US and in South Africa? Can one thing be possibly correct in all of these? One framework? That to me, honestly, is very close to madness. We are so different people with so many different cultures and different backgrounds, whether socioeconomic or educational or religious or traditions or whatever. Embrace that. Once you do that, maybe you will get something out of that team that will blow your mind.
Yes.
Maybe. I'm not saying it's guaranteed. Maybe they're not a good team. That's something else.
There is not always that. Maybe
That's
they
a
do need to
different
get
kind of
fired.
problem. Yes, that's a different kind of problem. I'm talking about a hypothetical team right now.
Yes, yes.
But I'm giving also a very one-dimensional issue. Of course, issues in the real world are not one-dimensional at all.
Yes.
But I'm just trying to simplify the concept, because maybe if you change that paradigm, maybe that team will flourish. Maybe that team will have different ideas, will have different sense of ownership to the place. Once they are comfortable, once they don't feel that there is a whip on my back that I have to, and the punishments and the penalties and all of that. Maybe, I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but maybe that change of perspective, that understanding the people around you, understanding their weaknesses and their strengths, and
I was just
accepting
about
them.
to say that, because that's a very, very important angle. Sorry to cut you off, Faisal.
No, sure.
The embracing part, it's not necessarily talking. I mean, we've been talking about what you can't control, and sometimes that is a negative thing or something that is affecting you negatively, affecting your psyche and your growth and everything else. But you also need to embrace the core competences, which are the strengths of you and your team. And that is a complete game changer.
Complete.
Yeah, because
yes,
that's
completely.
where the growth happens. That's another embracing for growth, actually.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Embracing the competence. And that competence might not be the one you had in mind.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it would surprise you in how it will improve your work environment, your business. It might surprise you. Just give it a chance. Think of it differently. The other point that I wanted to address is there is a big difference between embracing and just taking it on the chin or just swallowing it, because that's not sustainable.
Yes.
If you are just swallowing it to get the day going and to get the ball rolling, this is not sustainable. This is not taking you anywhere. It's actually self-harming. It's actually, you're hurting yourself.
That's true.
Not just the business, but you're actually hurting yourself. So for this to work, you genuinely have to embrace the faults in your husband, the faults in your kids, the faults in your colleagues. You genuinely embrace them. Is to try to, from a different perspective, understand where they're coming from, why are they doing the things they're doing, and to honestly and sincerely, genuinely, inside of you, be okay with it. Not only to be okay with it, but to see benefit on the mid and long run from that embrace. I think this is a key point. Go ahead, tell me.
Yes. No, I'm thinking out loud with you here, because again, I think by default as humans, we also tend to have that need and desire to change things and to change people around us. And I think what you're saying as well, which is part of the embracing, is it's identifying what you can change. There are some habits. I mean, at the end of the day, it has been proven. We know, we've experienced it personally, that there are things and habits within us that we can change. And then, but again, how do you differentiate between what we can support the change? We don't, if we're doing it for ourselves, we can. If there's others, we can influence, but we can never change people. And what we need to embrace, as in, this is it, and this I need to accept because I need to grow alongside them on a business and on a personal level as well. So this is, I think people will still, they need a bit more guidance here. What is it that is changing?
That's why I started. This is not a manual. This is not a do-it-yourself tutorial. These things are very fluid and complex, and they are multidimensional. They're not a single strain of a thought that if you do X, Y, and Z, you will definitely reach A. It doesn't work like that. The real world does not work like that. Even with our spouses, it doesn't work like that. Even with our kids. It's just
definitely with our kids.
Definitely with our. Imagine if you cannot control your kid, if you cannot change your kid, what are your chances of success to change a company of grown men and women with all their good things and their luggage and their issues and their nightmares? And how do you? Yeah, I think it's a bit it's a bit egotistical of us to think that we have that kind of power. I can't change my daughters. I can't. I have two daughters. I can't change them. I can't change one element about them.
Yeah.
So how do I think, and where do I get this delusion that I can change people? I can guide people. I can advise people.
Yeah.
Change is 100% done by the people.
That's
for
true.
themselves. And it's a very difficult process and a very long process. And if they don't see benefit from it, they will go back. Change is not easy, especially at our age. And that's why one of the things that I really pride myself in is that I managed to change starting at 48. And that's no easy feat. But I can only work on myself. I can only change myself. I can only change my perspective about things. I can only change my perspective about the country I live in, about the job I am in, about my spouse, about my kids. The only person I can change, truly, but in a very difficult way, is myself.
Yes.
That's the only person. Anything else to me is delusional. It's just you're throwing things out there. You're trying your best, but you get very frustrated at the end. You get very disappointed from the results because you're trying to shove change down people's throats, and that never worked, never ever worked, and it takes a really long time. So if you cannot change it, embrace it.
Yeah,
go ahead.
that's the thing, and this actually made me think of something. So we think of people who have, let's say, impacted the world by kind of standing up to what they believe in and influencing those around them. So, it's not a matter, again, going back to, it's not a matter about being passive. It's not about just accepting because there's nothing I can do about it. But we've seen the Martin Luther Kings of the world. We've seen the Gandhis, the Mother Teresas of the world and stuff, where I don't think they didn't set the intention to change the world. They set the intention to do the best that they can, and people were influenced and impacted by that. And in essence, what they all did was transform challenges into opportunities, into shifting perspectives, into being able to do that. And then, of course, we have the business leaders of the world as well that have set out to do that. Whether they succeeded or not, that's another thing. But that's the difference, I think, between let me do what I can do.
All the amazing examples that you just given, they've changed themselves.
That's true. Yeah.
They can't change the world. They changed themselves, and they preached that change.
Yes.
Whoever wants to follow will follow. Whoever wants to change will change, and whoever doesn't. So change is for you. Trying to impose change on people, or trying to think that you can, or thinking that you can control people, I believe that this is just a waste of time and energy, and causes a lot of frustration to everybody. Especially, I'll give you a good example for the startups.
Yes.
One of the worst experiences I had in the startup is raising funds, and I'm sure you've gone through that in a million discussion. I've seen the number of your episodes. I'm sure it's the worst experience. It's the worst, and it's the most humiliating experience, and it's very bad. It's very bad, and at least in this part of the world. I don't know about the rest of the world. I cannot judge or generalize, but I can tell you about this part of the world. It is probably one of the worst experiences in my professional career. After this exercise was done, I did not recover during the exercise, so I'm not as great as you make me sound.
Don't think
no. Don't think that I made a pivot and I changed and I became no. I did not do that. All right.
Yes.
All right. But I realized two things that made this experience as horrific as it was to me.
Okay.
There's a small one and there's a big one. The small one is it never crossed my mind that they are doing what's best for them.
Sure.
What jumps to your mind immediately is negative thoughts.
Yes.
But when I left that topic and I moved on in life, and then I went through this journey and all of that, and when I started reflecting on that part of the experience, I realized that they were just doing what's best for them.
Yes.
Even if it's personal, even if they didn't like me personally, but they were just doing what's best for them. It's really what's best for them. There is no hard feelings. They're not against you. You're not a victim. You're not any. We're all victims, my friend. All right. So let's not debate that. So
that's a whole new topic that we'll discover in another
day. Exactly. So we're all victims. So let's park that. But the whole idea here is they're doing what's best for them. But the second point I think is more important, and I think that one will hit a little bit deeper. Ego. And people confuse ego with arrogance.
That's true.
And they're not the same thing. Sometimes it's related, sometimes one depends on the other, but it's not the same thing. Ego, I think the biggest issue with ego is that, or big ego, is that it renders you incapable of seeing anything else except what you have in mind.
100% agree.
And this is a paralyzing element in our characters. It actually causes paralysis. It paralyzes you to think objectively.
Yep.
It paralyzes you to zoom out, take yourself out of the problem, and think about it from outside. That in itself, I think is quite detrimental. The fact that you are incapable of doing that you are stuck in your big ego, thinking that I know my stuff, I've done this, I got it, I'm an amazing guy, all of that. I have done the Excel sheets, I've done the business models, I have done the projections, I have done everything they've asked for. I have drawn the curves, I have done the trajectory, I have done the scalability, and all that I'm sure that you've talked about.
All the abbreviations they have asked for.
I have ticked all the boxes. What else could they possibly need?
Yeah.
It's amazing. Actually, they might need somebody other than you. It's as simple as that. Maybe you're not good enough. Maybe you're not just good enough for this project. You're good enough for other things. This is not your life. It is a business. This is not your life. So don't put all your self-worth in your deck and pitch. Like your entire self-worth. Like my wife, my kids, my family, my friends, my life, me.
My values and my ethos.
Everything. You put everything in that deck. In a freaking PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something else.
Maybe
it's not your self-worth
in the market or in the funding capabilities
there
or
are
whatever.
10 million reasons.
Yes.
And maybe one of them is you. And
maybe,
that's where the ego comes in. Maybe you're not the right person for the job. That doesn't mean you're not the right person for any job. You're just not the right person for this business. But because of my ego, and I was never an arrogant guy, but I had a massive ego. I didn't know that. It actually hit me like a ton of bricks, and when I realized it.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. But I realized that, wow, these guys have not done anything bad.
Yeah.
Why this hatred? Why this sense of humiliation that I have from them? Why? They're just people working with people to serve people and to make some money in the process. Why am I taking it so in? why my self-worth is the rejection, that they're rejecting everything about me. Maybe I wasn't even the right age. Maybe I wasn't the right caliber. Maybe there are, there are definitely millions of people better than me to do this job. So just by realizing that, that's perspective. I didn't change anything about the venture capitalists or the banks or the angel investors. I didn't change anything about them. I just changed the way I'm seeing things.
Yes.
And then it turned out, maybe if I had done that during the process, I would have been more successful. Maybe, I don't know. But definitely right now, I look back at it and I say, it's just, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
They're doing. Go ahead.
But you know what? And because I share that experience with you, not yet from the investment part. Yeah, again, my perception of it is this is not a fun experience, but this humbling experience of taming your ego started for me as soon as I went into private business. Because when you're in corporate, when you speak, you're representing the brands and the company you're working for and stuff, and doors open by default, and it's much easier to kind of flow through it. But you have I don't want to say an umbrella, but you have this kind of, you're walking around with a brand on top of your head. And then you go into private business and you become the business owner and the business leader, and you're going out and knocking on doors to sell your product or your service and everything else. And you get the rejections, the 100 and the 1,000 no's in your face.
Yes.
And it's like,
yes.
Oh my God, I have that experience and I have these degrees, and how could they?
Yes.
And you have to remind yourself that it's the ego that's coming in the way. Because I kept saying to myself, I'm not doing this again. I've already called them once. I've already sent an email. I've already done this. And
you're treating them like your boyfriend.
Exactly.
Like you're on a date.
Exactly. I just got ghosted. I will not do this.
Call you back. Yeah.
But that's a very important part, because that again is embracing for growth. You have to embrace that your ego could be what is blocking your business from growth. It's about follow-up. Like now I have to, being in like, having multiple positions and across multiple platforms and stuff, I have to apologize to people that I can respond 2 months later saying, I'm so sorry, I didn't see the message, because it's not about them. It's really about, I didn't get the opportunity. And that was a huge humbling experience for me. It's not about me. And again, it could be about me. They might not like me. It's okay. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I like to think of myself as friendly and smiling and stuff, but not everyone would like me. It's okay,
Absolutely.
And if they like me, they might not want to do business with me. And that is very important. And this is where
deflating ego.
Yes.
Especially from a corporate background.
Yes.
Deflate your ego.
Because that is super important. And that is one way to embrace that opportunity.
Yes.
Or overcome challenges, as you were saying, about whether you're looking at the funding or you're looking at people signing up with you on a product, or for your product or your service, or you're looking to hire people that, again, might also not like you as a leader and might not be able to work with you and stuff. So,
yes.
Okay. I know we can talk for hours, but tell me.
I'll wrap it up. I'll wrap it up because I'm cognizant of the time, and I see it here. It's 34 minutes. And you said 30 to 40 minutes. I have 6 minutes to wrap it up. I have to say last two things very quickly, because I think they might be interesting. Is number one is, I think, also part of the challenges that people face in startups, and it might be stemmed a little from ego, but also could have other elements to it, is certainty.
Yes, true.
Here is two sides of the same coin: certainty and uncertainty, or uncertainty. It's these two things. First of all, if there are young people out there listening to this, you will realize very quickly, or it would behoove you to realize very quickly that we operate in uncertainty. There is no certainty in life. There is nothing about human beings, about businesses, about there is no, this. And I think that some of the, when I work with younger people, I think the biggest thing they struggle with is that how to work without knowing all the inputs, without being sure of all the inputs. So this is something that I would love people to also pivot. And that's not on a personal level only, but also for business. You might go into a business thinking, I've done my math, I've done my homework, I've done my research, everything is lining up. But when you actually do it, it's not lining up. Maybe there is room for pivoting. Maybe there's room for changing. This lack of certainty is actually helpful. Again, it's about perspective. If you look at certainty as a good thing, if you pivot your perspective of uncertainty, maybe lack of it is healthy for you. Not knowing for a fact, maybe it will open the door, or at least keep it ajar, that you want to pursue different things, other things. So I think Bernard Russell is the one who said is about when try to entertain your ideas or your thoughts with a certain level of doubt.
Yeah.
Don't be so certain about everything you say and about everything you feel and about everything you do. Just maybe you're wrong. Maybe it could be better. Just maybe. Entertain that. The last thing I think is, I would say, and I think is also some of the things that, one of the things that people struggle with is perfectionism. This perfectionism is driving people crazy. People are losing their minds over, it has to be a square, a right angle from all sides and square. I'm telling you guys, I'm a time traveler. I am, for the younger generation, I'm a time traveler. I'm coming to you from the future, and I'm telling you, it does not exist at all.
I'm a recovering perfectionist myself.
Yeah. Good. And you never, by the way, you never get rid of it, but you learn how to live with it.
Yes.
You know how to accept remember when we talk about the 80%?
Yes.
It's good enough. Good enough is good enough.
Yeah.
So work with good enough, the 80%. Forget about the 90 and the 95 and the 100. And that's these, when you want to be Usain Bolt or Michael Phelps or I don't know, Elon Musk, by all means, go for the 100%. But we're talking about 8 billion people. They're not all these people. Work can easily go and become better, and 80% is really good enough. Don't waste resources, whether these resources are your time or money or even energy, your well-being.
Yeah.
On the remaining 20%. 80% is good enough. 80% advertising campaign is good enough. 80% product actually is amazing. No product is launched with 80%. But 80% product is amazing. 80% customer experience is phenomenal. Just get it right. Just do the 80%.
Yeah.
Don't try to aspire to an unattainable 100% that you will hurt a lot of people in the process. You will ruin a lot of resources or not optimize your resource allocation because of that 20%. Take the resources that you were going to put on the 20% and apply them on many 80s percentages.
Yes.
Instead of spending all your eggs on the remaining 20%.
And I absolutely love that concept, because I know I told you this before in person, because what's also very important, and again, bringing it back to the business, as you were saying, putting in the resources for that perfect product and launch and team and everything else is a business killer. It actually stops you in your tracks. And the whole concept of startups and entrepreneurship, it's about innovation and creativity and testing and trying and seeing if it works or not. I was personally, and that's why I say I'm a recovering perfectionist, because for me, it was that. When I first launched the Business Doctor, my advisory firm, and I spent 2 years perfecting a program because I know that's what they need. And guess what? After 2 years of perfecting it and working and putting in a lot of resources and the landing page and the marketing for it and all of this, when I actually did launch it, tumbleweeds in a desert. Nothing happens because I'm like, I didn't of the 100%, I didn't even validate it with my customers. And that is very, very important, because you would save yourself a lot of remorse then by testing and trying and giving the 80%, if you can even get to the 80%, and you will get a lot more returns actually.
Yes. The ROI on the 80% is astronomically better than on 100%.
I love
astronomically. So I hope really people would consider that.
I love that. Faisal, you know that we can spend hours talking. I know I keep saying this with every guest, but
you know how much I love you. You know how much I love you, and I love Wissam. Wissam is one of my favorite people of all time, and you guys are one of my favorite couples of all time. I love you, adore you, and definitely next time when you're here, we're gonna meet up.
Definitely. I can't leave you except with the last question, which I ask all my guests.
Sure.
So, empowered to grow in business. How does this phrase resonate with you?
Business can truly make a person better. Don't allow it to make you a worse human being, whether for yourself or for others, because it can truly be a catalyst to grow as a human being and to make people around you grow with you as human beings, because we are people working with people, delivering products to people. Don't forget that we are human beings, and we will always be human beings. No matter what everybody's saying, no matter of professionalism, no matter of all the frameworks and all the McKinseys and all the 8 personality traits and all the pseudoscience nonsense, we are human beings dealing with human beings. Your business can make you grow as an individual, as a human being. You can be better to your team. The team can be better people. You can be better to your community. It can be a catalyst for your development and growth.
Absolutely love that. Faisal, thank you. It's been a pleasure. And I can't wait for future conversations, because I know we can have a whole series alone, a parallel series of Empowered to Grow.
Yes,
just about all these concepts. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who joined us today. As always, empowered you empowers others. And as Faisal elaborately said, business is all about people, serving people, and supporting other people in these markets, in these countries, and everywhere else. I do hope that you take today's lessons, I would say, and extracts and pearls of wisdom from Faisal about embracing for growth, about being able to identify where the 80% line is and going for it, because this is where you can serve with a lot of impact, a lot of passion, and a lot of reach that we need in this time and age. I wish you love, abundance, and prosperity, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to the Empowered to Grow podcast. I'll catch you on the next episode. And until then, know that empowered you empowers others. Love, abundance, and prosperity to you all.